It is most noteworthy that this second book opens with the goat and closes with the ram, two animals of sacrifice, while the two middle chapters are both connected with fishes. The reason for this we shall see as we proceed. Both are combined in the first chapter, or sign, of Capricornus. In all the ancient zodiacs, or planispheres, we find a goat with a fish's tail. In the zodiacs of Dendera and Esna in Egypt, it is half goat and half fish, and it is there called Hupinius, which means the place of the sacrifice. In the Indian zodiac, it is a goat passant traversed by a fish. There can be no doubt as to the significance of this sign. In the goat we have the atoning sacrifice. In the fish we have the people for whom the atonement is made. When we come to the sign Pisces, we shall see more clearly that it points to the multitudes of the redeemed host. The goat is bowing its head as though falling down in death. The right leg is folded underneath the body, and he seems unable to rise with the left. The tail of the fish, on the other hand, seems to be full of vigor and life. The Hebrew name of the sign is Gedi, the kid, or cut off, the same as the Arabic Al-Gedi. Capricornus is merely the modern Latin name of the sign and means goat. There are 51 stars in the sign, 3 of which are of the third magnitude, 3 of the fourth, etc. 5 are remarkable stars, Alpha and Beta in the horn and head, and the remaining 3, Gamma, Theta, and Epsilon, in the fishy tail. The star Alpha is named Al-Gedi, the kid or goat, while the star Theta is called Se'ad al-Nashera, the record of the cutting off. Other star names in the sign are Dabi, Syriac, the sacrifice slain, Al-Dabik, and Al-Dahaba, Arabic, have the same meaning. Dinib Al-Gedi, the sacrifice cometh. Is not this exactly in accord with the scriptures of truth? There are 2 goats. Of the goat of the sin offering it is written,
When Moses inquired about the goat of the sin offering, and found that it had been burned up, he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and asked, Why didn't you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? It is most holy. It was given to you to take away the guilt of the community by making atonement for them before the Lord.
Of the other goat, which was not slain,
The goat will carry on itself all their sins to a remote place, and the man shall release it in the wilderness.
here is death and resurrection. Christ was wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquities.
By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished.
He laid down his life for the sheep. In the first chapter of the first book, we had the same Blessed One presented as a corn of wheat. Here we see him come to die, and hence not abiding alone, but bringing forth much fruit.
Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds.
The living fish proceeds from the dying goat, and yet they form only one body. That picture, which has no parallel in nature, has a perfectly true counterpart in grace, and a great multitude which no man can number, have been redeemed and shall obtain eternal life through the death of their Redeemer. It is, however, not merely the actual death which is set before us here. The first chapter in each book has for its great subject the person of the Redeemer in prophecy and promise. The last chapter in each book has for its subject the fulfillment of that prophecy in victory and triumph in the person of the Redeemer, while the 2 central chapters in each book are occupied with the work which is the accomplishment of the promise, presented in 2 aspects, the former connected with grace, the latter with conflict. Hence, in Capricornus, we must look for the prophecy of this coming sacrifice. As a matter of fact, it did actually point out the time when the Sun of Righteousness should arise and the light of the world appear. For when this promised seed was born, the sun was actually in this sign of Capricornus.
But when the set time had fully come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law.
The sun was really amongst those very stars, Al-Gedi, the kid, and Dineb Al-Gedi, the sacrifice cometh, when this willing sacrifice said, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. The nights were at their darkest and their longest when Jesus was born. The days began immediately to lengthen when he, the true light, had come into the world. Astronomers confess that the perverted legends of the Greeks give but a lame account of this sign, and it offers no illustration of its ancient origin. Its ancient origin reveals a prophetic knowledge which only he possessed who knew that in the fullness of time he would send forth his Son. We now come to the three constellations which give us three pictures setting forth the death of this sacrifice and of his living again.